Hello, everyone. Welcome to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the new streamingnetwork.com, home of the Going Solo and Going Bold. And we want to welcome you here to the Going Solo with Cece show. I am Cece Shatz, your host tonight. I'm the Doyenne of Relationship Building. I'm a divorce, dating, and a life coach. And we've got a terrific show here with you tonight. Tonight, we're going to be talking with Drew Deraney. He is with the Mindful Man Movement. Let's bring him forward. Hello, Drew.
Cece, how are you?
I am doing great. You are the founder of the Mindful Man Movement, a men's group that has launched a coaching practice dedicated to providing a safe place for men to share without judgment and to transform. And kudos to you for that, because I just don't think we can say enough for those that are helping individuals, transform their lives. So tell us a little bit about you and how you got into doing what you're doing now.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And it's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, I would say how I got here is, when we're young, we're told that life is linear, right? We're told by our parents, our family, and it's not malicious, but we're told if you do A plus B plus C, D is going to happen. And I really did do all the right things. Life did get in the way and kind of derailed it. And my circuitous route, started in, I was born in Brooklyn, New York, live in northern New Jersey in a town called Hohokus. And I have 3 children. I am divorced, and that's part of this whole story. And, the way I tell the story, it was back in July of 2015, I found out from my best friend, my wife was leaving me. She contacted my best friend and his wife and let them know. And thankfully they told me. And, I was blindsided because I was a man who, life was so crazy. I was just going through the motions. And, we had 3 kids, 7, 9, and 11. And that was probably the first big thing that really happened that really told me the life was different from what I had thought it would be. And we went through 3 years of mediation, and with that, divorce was final in April of 2018. And around that same time, I had worked in healthcare hospitals for 24 years, and I had submitted a HIPAA violation. The manager in my department accidentally let some patient information get discarded. I reported it. 10 days after I reported it, which happened to be about 10 days after my 50th birthday, which when I threw my birthday party, went from a good day to not so good day when I was called into human resources and I was fired for a leadership change. And 7 weeks after that, LinkedIn had an alert to congratulate so-and-so on her promotion. So she got promoted. I got let go. And as a man who I tied my self-identity to my marriage and my job, which is unhealthy. And I lost both in 6 months. So I started that tailspin, and then about 7 to 10 days after I got fired, my son had suicidal ideations. He was only 14 at the time. Thankfully, his girlfriend talked him down, but we had to deal with that. And then we were told we really should get him some assistance, and the place we had in mind didn't have a bed available for 40 days. So I was with my son for 40 days straight without sleeping, making sure he was safe. And then when we got up there, he pointed to my parents because they came up too with us and said, I hope nothing happens to them. And I reassured him nothing's going to happen. Take care of your health. And Christmas Eve, 2018, my father unexpectedly got sick and passed away 3 weeks later in intensive care. So you can imagine all the emotions, everything that went on then. And I was kind of done living on the earth. I had promised to myself, though, to be the best father I could be. And what lesson would I be teaching them if I gave up? And it was not going to be a pretty lesson. So I vowed, really, instead of looking within myself to ask if I should live, because I knew my brain, my heart, and my gut would have said no, I looked outside myself into the eyes of my children and my mother. And I said, I'm going to persevere. My purpose right now is to take care of them, make sure they're okay. Thing is, I just did it in an unhealthy way. The way men are told, we're told to man up, suck it up, don't ask for help, shun your support systems, just fix it. So I did that. And on the other side, my mom was okay, kids were okay. I was absolutely empty. I was living with that victim mindset, blame mindset, blaming the wife for the divorce, the boss for the job firing, myself for my son, and I blame God for my dad. So you talk about a very unhealthy way to live. I really didn't know what my next step was. And I ended up receiving a cold call and the company asking me if I wanted to buy a franchise. And I was like, well, I did always want to own my own company. It's just that my father was with IBM for 35 years and he always trained me not to, because you follow what you're told. The positive in this is about a month before my dad got sick, at his birthday party, he told me how proud he was of me for everything I went through. And he realizes I'm not happy. And if he wants me to be happy, do whatever I need to do to be happy. Mom and dad are going to support you no matter what. And I'm a 50-year-old man. I embraced that with dad. And that's when I started my company called Profit Compassion, because I know people can profit from compassion and we can profit from people being compassionate to us. I was going to start my own healthcare consulting company where I would educate caregivers on how to effectively help patients and families navigate the plan of care so they can come out healthier than when they get to the hospital. I felt I could impact it stronger on the outside than on the inside. When my dad died, Cece, I let that dream die. I had so many self-limiting beliefs. And I listened to the people about the franchise. I rationalized and said, well, that's like owning my own company. Yeah, I got to pay a hefty franchise fee. No, I don't really want to be in. It was about business consulting, helping companies save money, which is a nice place to be in. But helping patients in a hospital to me is more my passion. I bought this company and I did 3.5 years of really not knowing how to run a company, and I lost a lot of money and I was not happy. The silver lining, ironically, was COVID. A lot of bad stuff happened with COVID. There are a lot of positives that happen. I was forced to pivot with the company and really network virtually across the globe, because if I'm going to have clients that are companies, they have to be open. And I can't go see them in person. So I had to do something drastic. So I ended up meeting a book editor throughout this journey. And I've always wanted to write a book. I just never had content. Now I had content. And it was during this journey that my life transformed, because instead of putting pen to paper, we did the book writing like you and I are doing now. I would tell my story out loud and get recorded, and then Otter would download my voice onto words, and it'd be my words on paper, and I'd go with the editing. The thing was, I would be able, as I was working on a lot of self-awareness and self-reflection, I realized that let me tell as many people my story as who would listen, because I wanted to help people if they were in the same position I was. I started to heal myself from within by hearing my voice and to my own ears, and it was cathartic. And one morning I woke up. It was in August of 2022, a Saturday morning. I woke up knowing what my purpose in life was. I walked away from the franchise, breached a 10-year contract, and I started what I'm doing now because I really realized that I need to get men to start opening up, tell their story, share, and show emotions when appropriate, because I was doing it and I was healing myself. And when I started telling my story, other people would do the same, and they would tell me, wow, this feels good. And I started getting the reputation of somebody who can help break down walls.
Yeah.
And so this is my passion now. And so I say it happened by accident on the human side. I honestly believe I was put here for a reason, though, from a higher power.
Yeah. Well, my story is similar to yours. I was in a divorce support group, and it was the same way. So both men and women. And it really did help telling, explaining your journey as you're living it, what you're going through, pain and the bumps in the road and all of that kind of stuff. And what I found is that a lot of those individuals may be a different story, but very similar to each other,
Absolutely.
And pain and everything that they go through. So, I understand, what you've tried to grow here with regards to the men, giving them a safe place in which to go to, where they can land, where they can transform, and stepping into their new single life. I think it's terrific. So do you, so it's the Mindful Man movement. So is it just about divorce recovery, or do you also cover everything, like a transition of whatever's going on in your life?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. It encompasses all, to tell you the truth. What my ideal client is my full self, and what I mean by that is I want to serve middle managers in corporate executives, entrepreneurs, post-divorce males. If you're stuck in a relationship and you're not sure, what to do about it. If you're in your 30s and you're wondering what's going to happen the rest of your life, or if you're in your 50s and you're wondering about your legacy, because those are all the things that happen to me from 30 on. You end up asking a lot of questions to yourself as you get older, when more important things are important to you than what you used to be. So I don't want to leave any man behind. I'd love to get in front of a younger crowd. I'm helping between the 40 and 60-year-olds. I'd love to get in front of the 18 to 22-year-old men who, like I at that time, thought I was invincible, right? Mm-hmm. None of this is going to happen to me. Not that I want to instill fear in them. I want them at least to be prepared that something could happen, and let's be proactive and let's help you with your mindset so you're prepared if something like this happens, how to go about it more healthy.
Well, the other thing is they're, at a pivot, right, in their life. So they're coming out of being a, young adult into being an adult, making decisions for themselves, and then having to make decisions on a career, because a lot of them at 18, you're going into college and you're trying to figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life, and you don't have a clue what you want to do. So it would be great for guys to be able to connect with you and talk about, what they're going through, what, from some options. And because, a lot of it, and what I have found too, is that a lot of it, we know within ourselves what the answers are. But sometimes it's just so buried deeply in there. We just need other people to drag it out of us, and that's what coach is good for.
Yep, I agree 100%. Yeah, we all have our blind spots, and a good coach, a good mentor, a safe person can help put up that mirror in front of you and show you what they see that you may not see. Yeah,
absolutely. So I think that's great, and that's the benefit of having a coach and being a coach. And so absolutely. I want to make sure I put up, since we're talking about it, let's put up some of your contact information so you can reach Drew at theprofitcompassion.com. That's profit, PROFIT, compassion, COMPASSION.com. And then, of course, it's Drew, DREW, at profitcompassion.com if you want to email him. So go ahead and do that.
Absolutely.
I think it's a great idea. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things you did to create this, this men's group, and then some of the other things you're doing. Like, you've written the book, and we did put the book up, so I want to make sure we mention that. I'll have what she's having, Memoir of Reform People Pleaser. You can get that on Amazon. So we have all the links for everything in our show notes. So just go to our show notes and you can just click on it. It should be able to go right to it. But then you also have a podcast that you do. So when did you start doing that?
Yeah, well, that's the interesting piece, because that was one of the first things I did. In October of 2022, I started that, and it was about the same time I started my first men's group, and I didn't know what I was doing. I had 8 men I trusted, who I had worked with, or got to know once the pandemic happened. And I asked them to be my tribe members to help me build this thing. The thing is, I didn't know what I was doing. And I realized afterwards that I was doing it to help myself heal, be surrounded by men who could help. And they really did help me. It was at that time that I created the podcast, From Caving Into Crushing It. And it was interesting because the format was, we'd be at the men's group meeting with those 8 guys and then 4 or 5 people who were paying members. And I would have guest speakers come in, like the 8 tribesmen, one at a time, and I'd record it. And that would be the episode of the podcast. So that's how it started. And at a point, I decided to pause the men's group because I really wasn't sure where I was going with it. I didn't have that focus, that purpose for it. But I kept the podcast going. It's still going now. We just recorded episode 90 today. And I'd love to have you on, Cece. So you'll be getting an invitation. Absolutely. So I'm trying to spread the message any vehicle possible. And the vehicle being the book is one, and public speaking is another, and the podcast is a third. And I do coaching, right now one-on-one coaching, and the men's group. So any way I can spread the message, help one man at a time or a group at a time, it's very beneficial.
That is terrific. I mean, I know that we had a lot of men in. I remember I went to one meeting. I will tell you, I went to one of our meetings and all men showed up. None of the ladies showed up, and I was like surrounded by like 15 guys, and it's like, wow, okay.
Wow.
We all sat around and talked, and we had a great night. We had dinner together, and it was a great night to hear the guys talk and listen to them banter back and forth, helping each other, because our thing is like pay it forward, so we all help each other. That's and great. It opened my eyes then that it's missing. Men are really out there, and so believe it or not, Drew, we have more men listeners than women on our podcast here. So and on the show, so they listen quietly, because I think a lot of times men don't want, I don't know if it's want, if I want to use that word want, but they don't come out, right? And they just kind of listen, and they're not sure on how to heal, how to do things. So coming from a guy yourself, let's talk about that, because men are so different. Women will talk about everything under the sun, right? But men don't. And so let's talk about that.
No, absolutely. I believe that when we're ready to talk, what we don't know is who to talk to. We will tend to pick the wrong people. You want to talk to people who are going to pick you up, not put you down. So you really need to look for no judgment, no assumptions, and no unsolicited advice. So if you go to your families like to give unsolicited advice, and they're not the experts. You're not going to go to your significant other if that's who is part of the issue. You don't want to go to your friends, because these are your buddies who you go to the bar and you talk. So you're wondering, who do I go to? A lot of men don't want to go to therapy. It may be necessary to go. Again, finding the right therapist who you click with is also a challenge. So ideally, if you're growing up and you have a male mentor who's a little older than you, who's gone through the fire, you can go to. But most men don't have that intimate type of relationship. So the next best thing really is a coach or a mentor who's unbiased, who's gone through it himself. And the mentor piece, I think, is different from a coach. Mentors are people who've gone through that same exact fire and can walk alongside you on that journey with an empathic voice, and they will celebrate your wins. So I consider myself more of a mentor than I do a coach. Is that when I say mentor, people are like, what's that? So I'll use the word coach,
I agree. I say the same thing a lot of times too, because it's exactly what it is, that people do look at you because of the journey you've taken. So they
absolutely
walk the walk. Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about like what people have to do in order to join your group. So how do they is it a paying membership, or how to, and then when they join, what happens?
Absolutely. Yeah. I did. It's a private membership association, and people who have supported me in the past at my other events, I do charge them $50 a month. That price will go up July 1 to $100 a month. New supporters are $80 a month until July 1. Then it's going up to $100 a month. What does that mean? To me, the money is secondary. I do somewhat curate the group. I want to make sure that the man is open for personal development, is coachable, even in the men's group, and is willing to be vulnerable and share his story, because I'm surrounding him with a safe space where there's no judgment, there's no assumptions, there's no unsolicited advice, and it's men who also want to improve their personal development. The way we do it is I do it weekly. It's a virtual meeting on Zoom weekly, and instead of just doing it once a week, I do it 3 times a week. So I do Mondays, 10 a.m. Eastern. I do Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, and Wednesdays, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Why do I do 3? I do 3 because it's the same content that whole week, same topic, except I want to be able to appeal to the corporate man. So that's why 6:30 p.m. Eastern, hopefully that can accommodate them, and East Coast, West Coast entrepreneur. So that's why, 10 a.m. on Mondays and 12:30 p.m. on Wednesdays. I also do it because each week is different, and somebody may have a really rough week and Monday's not good. Well, I don't want them to miss the week, so they can hop into the Tuesday or the Wednesday if they want. People can go to all 3 if they want that week. It is going to be different men, and even though the topic is the same, conversations can go in all different directions. So you don't know what you don't know. So I don't want to lose anybody in the whole shuffle. So I want to make it financially reasonable, and I want to give them choices of the days and the times, and I'll bring my A game to all 3. And if they want to go deeper, I do the one-on-one coaching. Similar topics, you just go deeper when it's one-on-one coaching. Right.
No, I think it's great. It's nice. I like the idea of doing the joint, the group coaching, because it's, you hear other people, right? And so when you hear their journeys, you hear what they're going through. It's also a learning experience for you as an individual. So a group, you can take away a lot from a group environment. So I do definitely like that. So as you're moving forward, with the men, right, and they're making this transition, do you have any kind of like handouts or anything like that you give them? Is there any do you help them in that way? Because people learn in different ways, right? They hear learn visual, and all that. So do you have anything like that?
Yeah, well, actually, during the men's group, I have a one-sheeter that I go over, and I do send it to them afterwards. It gives them what we talked about in the group. It's kind of like a worksheet, question with lines under it, and then having contemplative questions, and then some data to tie it together. For the coaching, I do too. I have a bunch of different learning PDFs, which I'll give to them after the sessions. My coaching session really, it's got 3 phases to it, where they get homework and accompanying documents to help them with that. And the first phase is always to meet the man where he is. We're always going after helping them define and design their desired identity. Because, we all, men and women alike, by the age of 7 to 10, 50% of our belief system, what we have of the world and ourselves, is kind of handed to us by who we're around. And by the age of 18, 90% is handed to us. And so by that age, you don't know if the belief system's yours or somebody else's. You're not contemplating that because you're young. It just takes some time. Some people take a lot longer than others. It took me 50 years to realize why I felt weird if I made a certain decision. Well, it's my standards may be different from the belief system, and you have that misalignment. Something's not jiving. And if you dive deep into it, you may realize that belief system I've been holding on to a year really wasn't mine. And so we do that identity, and what happens with that identity, now the man knows who he is. And once you know who you are, you want to know where you're going. So part 2 is helping them eliminate the self-limiting beliefs that they have with them that were tied to that old identity that wasn't their identity in the first place. And once you eliminate those self-limiting beliefs, now you know who you are and where you're going. And phase 3 is leading with purpose. We help you write your own story instead of letting others write it for you. Because if you sit on the sidelines, other people are going to write your story for you. So I don't want you to be isolated and not take action. And that's what we do. And so now these men know who they are, where they're going, and they are directing the path.
Very good. Very good. Great information. I mean, it's tremendous. And so again, everyone, if this interests you, definitely contact Drew at profitcompassion.com. Check out his website, profitcompassion.com. So let me ask you, when you are, when you're doing group meetings and things like that, do you segment them out for like business people versus, business problems versus individual personal problems? I mean, how do you sort that out? Because when you're in a group environment and then someone's talking about, their journey, like they get a divorce or something, and they're really upset. The business person may not want to hear that. So how do you separate that?
Right. Well, all the men know ahead of time that it's about personal development. And I am a firm believer that there's no such thing as work-life balance. I think that's a farce. 24 hours in a day, let's pretend we sleep for 8. You have 16 hours.
Right.
You're going back and forth from each, and there are a lot of strengths we have in business that we really can bring to our home, and vice versa. And many people don't. They have that line of demarcation between work and home, and don't realize that you can have strengths in each and weaknesses in each. That you can work on the weaknesses and enhance the strengths. So they'll know coming in that the general topic is really to be a man. What it is to be a man. Overall. And your mindset's your mindset. If you have a positive mindset, that positive mindset's going to take you both at home and at work. So we can talk about any topic, whether it's professional or personal. It's how we think about it, how we frame our mindset. We want to go from a fixed to a growth mindset. We want to be able to show the men that the greatness is within inside of you. We just need to pull it out. And whether or not the example is a business example or a personal example, it's still important to that man. But we can use the same tools for your mindset and embodiment. So I don't really distinguish between the two. We'll have a topic. It could be procrastination. That could be the entire topic. And I may pose some questions. We go into breakouts and they talk amongst themselves and then come back in the group and share. So, and there's no topic that's off limits. Let's put it that way.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting. Procrastination is like the world's most, everybody seems to have that problem. But
Yep.
yeah, it's definitely that. Well, yeah, I like that idea. I like the being able to, come together and realize that a lot of issues that we have affect us both at home and at business. So it's not, we kind of take it with us, right, when we go. So it's like you pack your lunch, you're packing your problems right along with them.
They all come together. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, when we're talking about helping a man heal, is there anything particular that you can think of that we need to focus on that's different maybe from women? Is there anything like it,
I certainly know men and women think differently. I do know that we are much more similar than we are different in terms of what our needs are. Both men and women want to feel valued. They want to have specific responsibilities that are clear. They want to have a purpose in life. And, I would say that society tells us that it's a weakness to be vulnerable. Now, you got to be careful when you're vulnerable. You got to bring it to the right people, because there are people who will shame you and whatnot. So certainly be careful who you're vulnerable to. Don't be afraid of doing it. Men are raised by thinking that they have to choose between being strong or being empathic and compassionate. And that's not really the case. But the dilemma is, how do I be strong without being and there's a word that starts with an A. That's not a nice word, right? And then how do I be empathic or compassionate or kind without being walked all over, right? There is a happy medium, and I truly believe I'm redefining what it means to man up. I want you to be strong, which means know your value, know your values, and I want you to be compassionate. I want you to be kind as opposed to nice. I think there's a difference. Nice men really don't have a solid boundary around their self-identity, and they don't protect themselves. So they will do something against their better judgment just to be nice and want people to like them, and then they'll get stepped all over. Kindness is, you can be strong. You have that boundary around the important things in life, your standards and your identity. You still are compassionate and do things for people, just not at your own expense. So strength and empathy at the same time is very important, and you don't have to choose between the two. So whether that's same or different from women, I'm not sure. I do know that if you can stop caring about what other people think about you, you are much better off in life. And that's why I wrote the book about me being a reformed people pleaser. There are people pleasing behaviors that are often misconstrued for being nice. You never say no. And a lot of it is you're wearing a mask all the time as a people pleaser. So you're not being authentic. And so people may like you because you're somebody acting like somebody else. And when you come out as your authentic self, people will say, like they've said to me, Drew, that's out of character. And I'll say, well, no, actually that's in character. That's really me. And so they think, so you've been fooling me all these years. So it is a manipulative tactic, people pleasing. Yet if you're not aware of it, it's subconsciously manipulative, Mm-hmm. So to be a man is a challenge right now because there's a blurred focus on our purpose in life.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. I totally agree with that. So now what would you say to those out there that are listening because our station is really about the transition, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we go for relationship loss of some sort, or whether it's work loss or,
right.
relationships of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're trying to make that transition. What would you say to them as they're walking this step, as they're moving forward and through this? Because this is probably one of the difficult times for them. Number one, I guess you would say you need to get a hold of you. I would love
that. But honestly, the first step is to surround yourself with people you trust. The first thing we seem to do is we shun our support systems. Now, you want to embrace those people who have always been with you, right? You often will find out people's true colors when you're going through hell.
Right.
They're either going to run away or they're going to stick with you. Mm-hmm. Those who've stuck with you through good times and bad times, come to them for help because they want it. They want to be there for you. They can't read your mind. Right. So I would confide in 2 or 3 people you truly trust and just share. I'm telling you, the more you can share with people who are trustworthy, hearing your story with your own ears, it does help. Because if you keep inside your head with all those demons telling you how awful you are, your brain's a tape recorder. So my first thing would be, as difficult and challenging as it is, there are some words you'll want to eliminate from your vocabulary, from your thinking and your words. And I have 11 words that I have eliminated from my vocabulary, which have helped my brain, when it's in its conscious brain activity, kind of absorb that. And so when my brain's in my subconscious brain activity, my subconscious has more positive habits. And that does wonders for you because we have about 70,000 thoughts a day. And we recall, maybe 0.1% of those, I think the number is, like 1,400 thoughts. Yeah. And self-awareness is really important. You've got to be able to acknowledge your feelings and emotions and your thoughts and don't ignore them, man. Don't suppress stuff. We're taught to suppress stuff as men, and we're suppressing a lot of toxins in our bodies, and that's why we're ended up dying younger than we really should. We gotta release these negative emotions, and there's toxins in our tears. We have tears for a reason, not to keep the stuff inside.
Right. Well, too, I think in today's world, anxiety is so huge.
Oh, yeah.
Individuals are going through anxiety like crazy. And I think a lot of it is because they're holding back a lot of the problems that they have and think they don't know what to do and how to deal with a lot of things and how to share it. And so, so I agree with that. I do believe that when you release it.
Cece, though, it also doesn't help that the powers that be out there, I believe there's a strategically trying to divide us. Right now, there's a divide, say men and women, and whether you're religion and politics, all this divide. Too many labels put on all of us. I'm really here to take off all those labels and reunite men and women. There's such a gap right now. I want to bridge that gap. And it all starts with realizing that men cannot go it alone. Women cannot. Well, we can go it alone, just not as healthy if you have a strong man with a strong woman, strong team. We need that back in this country.
Right. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
And, I love what you do. I think it's terrific. So again, let's make sure we share everything. The Mindful Man movement, definitely go out and get the book. I'll have what she's having, Memoirs of a Reformed People Pleaser. And, there's so many of us out there, the people pleasers. So we need to read books and understand that. So definitely go to Amazon and purchase that book. And then listen to it.
I mentioned how I wrote that.
No, I don't think you did.
The thought process is it's really the Drew of right now educating the Drew of years past. I kind of went over each decade of my life and looked at every single big decision I made, and I found patterns of people pleasing. And so I make suggestions on what, if I had known then what I know now, what I could have done differently. So it may help people read the book that way because they can apply the stuff before it happens to them.
That's excellent information, definitely. And then, of course, your podcast, which is from craving in to crushing it, right? From
caving in.
Oh, I don't know why I'm craving. Sorry about that. Yeah, caving.
That's all right. That's all right.
Well, it's one of those bloopers, but anyhow, it's, I think it's a great podcast. So you guys listen to it out there. It's definitely, I always say to everyone that it's a well, your body and your mind and your soul, everything, it's a well. You just need to fill it with positive information. Just keep reading, listening, doing all the things that you need to do in order to build your life the way you choose to build it. And Absolutely. And that's the beauty of transforming, isn't it? Because
it's amazing.
I think transformation is terrible, but it really is a beautiful, wonderful thing.
It is, and it doesn't have to be huge and big all at once. I tell people that you can change the direction of your life every 15 minutes. I say that right now, today starts now. Today starts now. Every second you say today starts now, we got a lot of opportunities in front of you. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I always think that, today is going to be a better day. It's going to be a good day when we get up. So yeah, I totally agree with that. Well, we're going to have to probably close the show here pretty soon, but I'd love to see if there's any last words or anything you'd like to share with our audience.
I would just encourage all of you to carve out time during every day, 15, 20 minutes on just stillness, self-thought. You can sit with yourself. I think the biggest relationship that we can have is the one with ourselves. And people who are uncomfortable being alone are the ones who are going to have challenges in life, because when you rely on other people to take care of you and bring you up, you're going to be disappointed. The one person you can count on is yourself. And so with that, do not compromise commitments to yourself. Carve out time during the day to take care of yourself, even if it's just sitting with yourself and thinking. And the things that you can control, like the Serenity Prayer tells you, don't worry about the things you can't control. Focus on the things you can control and do something about it. The greatness is inside of you. You just got to pull it out. And if you can't do it yourself, ask somebody to help you, because there are a lot of people who do want to help you.
Wow, excellent information. So again, everyone, it's the Mindful Man Movement, and you can go to his website, which is profitcompassion.com. That's profit, PROFIT, compassion, COMPASSION.com. And then if you want to email him, it's Drew and that's DREW at profitcompassion.com. So you can email him. Again, his book, we want to make sure that you guys get that, and also, listen to the podcast. So I want to thank you so much for being on the show here today. It's gone by very quickly, and we just love having you. And thank you for all that you do. We truly appreciate you.
Absolutely, Cece. Thank you. And I appreciate you too, and everything you do too.
Thank you. You're quite welcome. All right, everyone, we're going to wrap it up. You're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We are on the new streamingnetwork.com, home of Going Solo and Going Bold. I hope you'll check out our new Roku station. We've got everything up there for you. And we are broadcasting live there on Roku. And all of our wonderful shows are there on demand, and it's free. So you just can go there and listen as much as you want. I am Cece Shatz, the host here tonight. I'm the Doyenne of Relationship Building, and you're listening to Going Solo with Cece. I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.